So you're running through the jungle with tree branches and thick vines blocking your way. You don't know where you're going, but you feel like you're not in control of your movements. You see a huge rock in front of you. You can't stop running. You're about to crash into it. Suddenly, whoop! You're up in the air, soaring at an incredible speed. Below you is a steep valley with sharp rocks and a raging river. You hold your breath, hoping this is all a dream. But then you land back on the ground and continue running without breaking a sweat. Risking a glance behind you, you see a group of high-tech drones chasing right after you. But in front of you, there's a bright light, and as soon as you run past it, everything turns black. You catch yourself sitting in a dark room with nothing around you, trying to guess a tough riddle that's almost impossible to understand. You only have seconds to guess, or something bad will happen to you. Only 5 seconds left to make that guess. You blurt out the first thing that comes to your mind, but your tongue slips and you say something completely wrong. The look on your face is that of fear. Everything turns black. You're climbing up a large ladder, but you're not in control. Below you are rows and rows of flat tiles. You finally scale to the top and wait for yourself to move, but you can't. No matter how hard you try, it's like you're cemented to your spot. But in a few moments, you're able to move through some of the tiles and progress. The only thing that you can't control is how far you walk. You land facing a giant snake, longer than 2 buses head to tail. Its hissing is terrifying, and its fangs are dripping with venom. Luckily, you move past it without any conflict. But what's this? You land facing another snake, and this one is even bigger than the previous one. It opens its large, gaping mouth and unleashes a thunderous roar. Its red scales reflect your terrified face back at you. The snake gulps you down, and you slide down the belly of the beast. And through the dark tunnel, you suddenly end up back to where you started. It's impossible to move, and you have to go through the snakes and ladders. You're cruising in one of those fancy old sports cars. It's a lovely day in London. You pass by Trafalgar Square before taking the train at King's Cross Station. But suddenly, you're not so hot anymore. As soon as you land on Mayfair, you look at your bank account and it doesn't make any sense. All your finances are now down the drain. You have so much money to pay that it's impossible to cough up the rent. You're panicking. You have no choice but to mortgage your lands, and if that's not enough, you have to sell some of your houses and hotels to finance the rent. All that hard work gone in a matter of seconds. What about a game of patience and years of experience? You're standing in the middle of an open green field. You're glued to your spot and you can't move. The people around you are also glued to their spots. Suddenly, somebody moves 2 spots in front of them, and then you realize that everyone around you has a specific move. Some move diagonally, others forward or sideways. Some can move in an L shape. As everyone moves, you realize you're the only one who can move sideways, front, and even backwards. And what's cool is that you have unlimited moves. But there's threats all over, hidden, disguised as innocent placements. And before you know it, you're one of the few still standing. Everyone else is gone. The sun is set and the field is more open than before. You're now one of the main components to victory. As you continue, there are fewer and fewer people around. But out of nowhere, you're placed in a position poised for victory. And it's checkmate. You're anxious and breathing heavily. There was a crime committed in the library. Or maybe not, who knows? But you're one of the detectives at the scene trying to figure out what happened. All you know is that it happened inside the mansion and you need to uncover who committed the crime, with what tool, and where the perpetrator did it. The night is young, but the clues are scattered all over, and there's no time to waste. There are other detectives trying to solve the case, but you need to be quicker. You investigate every corner and alley to try to come up with a conclusion. Looking under every lamp, between the curtains, every crack on the wall, but nothing, zilch. You make your way around every room, but something is quite intriguing in the dining room. You already looked there, but didn't pay attention to the details. And you may have found the first clue to solving the mystery. After extra searching, you can determine that you found the tool used in the crime, And in no time, you found out where the culprit did it. You lay down a press conference as soon as you're confident of your conclusion. Everyone is waiting to see what you have, and you blow them away with your analysis. The offender was in the room the whole time. You close the case and get that promotion you've always wanted. But there are more cases to be solved which are equally challenging. Imagine waking up and not knowing how to speak. You begin your day by brushing your teeth and getting dressed. But as soon as you want to exit your apartment, you can't seem to move. Like an invisible barrier is blocking your way. You look at your hand and see 7 random numbers jumbled up. A message appears that you need to make a word in order to get out. So you try to come up with the cleverest word you can think of, but of course, no cheating. You can forget about the dictionary. After punching in the word, you're able to gain access outside and continue your day. But you're not able to enter your car. Another invisible barrier is blocking you. This time, you look at your hand and see another random set of 7 letters. And you need to come up with another word. It's getting more difficult to figure it out. Eventually, you end up laying a mediocre word, but it gets the job done. By the time your day is over, you'd be a super wordsmith. You wake up in a dark, damp room.